secret to gaining muscle size and strength at the same time, fixing your gym routine to accommodate for the trade-offs between muscle size and strength, and simple ways to avoid plateaus so you can continue to progress. Plus, I added a bonus tip at the end so you can promote natural human growth hormone to give your body that extra shot of energy it needs after a workout. Let's go. What's up, everyone? My name is Mark and welcome to TrainAllSports. And if it's your first time here,
welcome to the party, pal.
All right, let's get into it. Gaining muscle size and strength at the same time has to deal with understanding what is volume. And now volume is a term that most of you have probably heard of, but you haven't realized that many people are using it improperly. Volume is the total amount of weight that you have lifted during the entire training session. And this term should not be confused with volume per exercise, which is called volume load. And I'll get into this more and more as we go through today. So let's start with scenario one. You went to the gym and did 5 exercises and they were all 200 pounds. And you did a simple 10 reps at 3 sets. Your total volume would be 200 pounds times 10 reps times 3 sets times a total of 5 exercises, or 30,000 pounds total volume. Now, your volume load per exercise would be different, which is the 200 pounds times 10 reps times 3 sets, or 6,000 pounds per exercise. Now, how you achieve that 30,000 pounds can really make a dramatic difference in if you're going to gain strength or size, or both. Now, common convention is if you stayed in above the 8 reps per set, you would be in hypertrophy, and if you were at 5 or below, you would start to gain strength. Now, let's look at scenario 2. Instead of doing 10 reps, we do 4 reps. And instead of doing 3 sets at 200 pounds, you do 5 sets at 300 pounds. Your total volume is still 30,000 pounds. However, your body would respond totally different, and it would begin to develop more strength as opposed to developing more muscle size. But does that mean that you're not going to get big? No, it does not. So here's the common falsehood about thinking of absolutes, like you're either in hypertrophy or strength training.
Only a Sith deals in absolutes.
Hypertrophy and strength training do not live in separate realms, they coexist together. Your body doesn't think of, oh, all of a sudden I'm at 5 reps, so I'm gonna start building muscle, or now I'm at 3 reps, I'm gonna start building strength. Now, no, it doesn't do that. Everything is interconnected between each other. And the thing that we talked about in the beginning with volume is the thing that you want to keep in mind. And the total volume of the entire workout is the most important thing that you have to understand. If you have a total volume of 30,000 pounds and you did the 10 reps per set, and the total volume of 30,000 pounds and you did the 4 reps per set, your total volume's the same. Therefore, in the second scenario with the 4 reps, you'd be getting strength and size at the same time, as opposed to just muscle size in scenario 1. And that's simply just how you do it. You increase the amount of volume when you have low rep ranges. But that does come with trade-offs that you have to condition yourself to overcome and still gain muscle size and strength at the same time. The first trade-off is time, and that can be pretty clear to most people. The more total sets you do, the more time it's going to take because your rest intervals will be fairly consistent. So instead of doing 3 sets at 3 minutes rest, now you're doing 5 sets at 3 minutes rest. And when you total that out through the entire workout, it can add up to a much more significant time for your total workout. And that excludes a lot of other factors like how lifting heavier weight will typically increase your rest times. Now, the second trade-off is lifting heavy weight with a lot of intensity requires physiological, neurological, and metabolic stress and conditioning on your body. And overtraining and doing it too often can cause some problems in the long run. But do not let these trade-offs take you away from gaining muscle strength and size at the same time. It can be done, and you just have to condition yourself to it, and that's what we're going to get into next. So let's go over fixing your gym routine to accommodate muscle size and strength at the same time. Okay, there are 2 factors that you must hit in order to gain muscle size and strength at the same time. So you need total volume and you need to lift heavy loads. And for this, I would recommend lifting heavy loads first on the exercises you perform. So if you're going to do a bench press, go up and get close to 80 to 90% of your max and do your heavy reps there first when you start bench press. And after your first 2 or 3 sets, drop the weight and add the reps back on where you're doing 8 to 10 again. That way you've hit high intensity with heavy loads and you've hit higher volume loads per that exercise. Now, depending on if you're trying to create more strength or more muscle size, you can focus that area 60% of your time, or 60% of your loading will be focused on hypertrophy or muscle strength. So if you want to gain muscle strength, focus 60% of your volume load on that exercise on muscle strength. And if you think that's going to be intense, going way up and almost maxing out and then coming back down and doing high rep ranges, well, you're right. But you can condition yourself to do it, and it's really not that hard. It's probably only gonna take you 2 to 3 weeks if you're brand new. But you will encounter some challenges, and that's what we're gonna go over next. So here are some simple ways to avoid plateaus and continue your progress and continually create breakthroughs. Now, if you recall, volume load is the number of sets multiplied by the number of repetitions per set multiplied by the weight lifted per repetition. But this concept is closely tied to mechanical work, which is force and displacement, or the distance the weight has traveled, and the amount of metabolic activity and physiological stress on your body. So let's think about it this way. You have a 6-foot person doing a 200-pound squat, and it takes them 3.5 seconds to do 1 rep. You have a 6'5" person also doing a 200-pound squat, and it takes them 4 seconds to do 1 rep. Now you can imagine that the total displacement, or the total distance the weight has traveled for that 6'5" person, has been significantly more than the 6-foot person. So even though the volume load is the same, assuming that they both did the same amount of reps and sets, the 6'5" person had a higher metabolic and physiological stress applied to their body because of how far the weights have traveled and how long it took them to perform the exercise. So there are many creative ways to do this, and it's really just extending your total range of motion through the exercise you are doing. In deadlift, you can put the weights underneath your feet to expand your feet up, so you have a longer displacement of lifting the weights up and down. You can increase your range of motion on squats if that's good for your hips and knees. You can also pause at different points during the exercise when you do eccentric motions to increase the amount of time under tension.
Awesome isometric strength for here. Trust me, this stuff works.
The possibilities are really endless, and what you want to keep in mind is you're trying to create a metabolic and physiological stress on your body so your body is forced to adapt and never hits the plateaus because you're continuing to shock your body and change it, and it doesn't know what's coming, and when it doesn't know what's coming, it has to try and adapt for everything. All right, here's the bonus tip of how to naturally increase human growth hormone in your body through workouts. And this question comes straight out of the National Strength and Conditioning Association's book called Essentials of Strength, Training, and Conditioning. And it says, what type of resistance training workout promotes the highest growth hormone following exercise? And the answer is doing high intensity with short restorations of 30 to 60 seconds and doing 3 sets. Now, what is high intensity? Well, it's just what we talked about before. You can do high rep ranges of 10 plus and then rest for 30 seconds and do it again and again, or doing something between 85 to 90% of your 1 rep max for 3 sets and only resting for 30 to 60 seconds. That is gonna be intense, and you're gonna feel $1 million maybe after the fact when your body starts releasing that natural human growth hormone and your endocrine system fires up and gets ready to go. All right, I'm gonna go over some comments here. All right, this one's from High Carb Chris. And I'm gonna skip to the end because he says, how do I get shredded? I have to cut my calories, but I can't get below 170 pounds. I want to be lean and shredded, around 155 pounds to 160 pounds. And I'm 5'9". What else can I do to cut my calories? Because I am already in low calorie enough and I've got no energy. Well, this is very common, and I agree with him that you shouldn't be cutting your calories if you're starting to feel down and sluggish, because that's gonna create a positive feedback loop where you're going to feel tired and then you're gonna work out less, and then you're gonna be more tired because you're not gonna eat. And then your workouts overall become less and less and less effective, and you become more and more and more sluggish, and then you just quit. So what I advise doing is increasing the intensity of your workouts. Now, he states here earlier that he does 5 to 7 miles of jogs. He hits the gym 3 times a week and jogs once a week for about 5 to 7 miles. My recommendation here was boost up the intensity by doing some more sprinting. People don't know is humans are the best land animals at long distance running. So if you're doing a lot of long distance running, your body is pretty well adapted for that. But it's really, really, really bad at doing sprints comparably to the rest of the animal kingdom. So if you start adding sprints, you're going to boost your metabolism significantly because your body's gonna have to adapt to something that's really not used to and it's not programmed to do. So I recommend here for him to go down below 400 meters and do sprints that way. I mean, you can do 400s, 200s, 100s, 50s, and really boost up the sprinting, and you'll probably be able to get over those plateaus and become shredded and increase your metabolism and burn off that extra fat that your body's storing because it's used to running the 5 to 7 miles per week. Then this is from Priyash Kadu, and I hope I said that correctly. I went from a 1 minute and 5 seconds on day 1 to 2 minutes and 30 seconds on day 7 in my plank. That is incredible. That's over twice the amount in 7 days. Now, what he's referring to is isometric.
Awesome isometric strength for here. Trust me, this stuff works.
And that's really the power of isometrics. So if you haven't done isometrics before, I recommend you look at my isometrics video and implement isometrics into your program because that's most likely an untapped resource that you've never experienced before. Whew. All right. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.